Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Austin Maltera, and I am bringing you a draft analysis for my new league, the Uber Battle Festival, obviously in Uber's league, as you can see by the logo and the name and stuff. So this is just a more very fun league I wanted to make. I've never done an Uber's league before, so this is something trying that I'm trying new, is what I'm trying to say here. Um, but yeah, it was a new drafting style in the sense for me, just because it was like Uber's with you know, I added essentially two tiers of Ubers, so that made it like 7 tiers to choose from. So I made it more of like a points based draft, but still sort of tier based. It was kind of like a hybrid between the two in terms of how the draft went. But essentially, what's going on here is that each team had 90 points to choose from, with like the best Ubers being 20 points to like regular like tier 5 Pokemon being 2 points. So teams wound up being between 9 and 11 Pokemon, just depending on how people spent their points. So I actually have a full 11 Pokemon team, but yeah, so that's how that worked. There were a couple of restrictions. Let's see. Obviously in Uber's league, there's some things that are still too broken even for Ubers. So Mega Rayquaza, Ultra Necrozma, Zygarde Complete, the Primals, the Mega Mewtwo's. Those were all way too much, too overpowered essentially. And then I only allowed one of like I guess like an Uber species clause essentially, just so that way someone didn't have to fight two Necrozmas or two Giratinas or Kyurem White and Kyurem Black back to back or things like that. So that's what's in there. There were a couple other things like Parasong Mega Gengar, Seismic Toss Mega King. I banned those, even though I allowed the two Pokemon, but just not those moves on them because that would be kind of broken in my opinion. So that was kind of the thought process there. And then the final restriction being that Z moves were not allowed on tier Uber 1 because like a Z Arceus or a Z Groudon or Ho-Oh, like things would just be insane. So anyway, that's just kind of an overview of how my thought process going into coming up with the idea of like the tiering system and stuff. Megas are way over here, but with Mega Uber 1, Mega Uber 2, and then the standard list. So anyway, that was just kind of my thought process of like how I sort of laid out the league. It was a different sort of draft, just with the points, but also a bit of tiers as well. But there were no like required tier stuff, and as far as a varied number of Pokemon, this is my first time where you didn't have to being in a league where you didn't have to draft X amount. So I don't know. It was a cool draft to run. It was a bit of a revolving door in terms of a couple of coaches, but we finally settled on a very solid roster of 12 people that I'm excited to play. So, anyways, but that's enough about the league as a whole. Let's go ahead and let's jump into my team. So I'm recording this in the second week of the league because I was not very happy with how my original team turned out. The speed tiers were like horrific. Like I literally jumped from Pheromosa at base 151 down to Linoon at base 100. Like that was a 51 point speed tier gap. And then like it was just all over the place in terms of speed. Like I had some very slow stuff I didn't necessarily want. But the new and improved team is just a lot better in my opinion. So let's talk about that instead. So first, starting things off, we have my Reshiram. This was my Uber pick. The nickname bar is kind of in the way of his full picture, but I wanted one of the Unova dragons. Like they are so cool. They hit so extremely hard, and I was kind of between Reshiram and Zekrom, but I thought I'd give Reshiram a try. Dragon Fire is just such a good offensive typing. Like a lot of times, like stuff like Charizard X, it only needs like dual stab, but its other coverage moves are just so good. Getting the Earth Power or Psychic or what else does it get? Focus Blast, as well as some usable physical moves as well, because it still has base 120 physical attack. That is still a very hard hitting Pokemon on that side. So I don't know, Reshiram is just a really cool Pokemon. It has two like signature fire moves in Fusion Flare and Blue Flare. So Fusion is base 100 and Blue Flare is base 130. So it's essentially cool in terms of accuracy. It basically just gives it like an upgrade to Flamethrower and Fire Blast. You now have Fusion Flare, which is stronger than Flamethrower, and Blue Flare, which is stronger than Fire Blast. So that was it. So that's just a really cool pick. I like Reshiram. As you can see by some of my my original three Fairy Dragon Steel Fire Water Grass was like a double core thing that I wanted to try out with in terms of the Reshiram, Ferrothorn, and Primarina. So, but then I later through transactions and stuff I added it in Alolan Ninetales. So, but anyway, so I'll talk about just all that synergy and stuff later. So that was my Reshiram. Next here we have Pheromosa. The Pheromosa is a very cool Pokemon. Its stats are all over the place in terms of hitting extremely hard, being very fast, but being very frail as well. So, but it's just a really cool Pokemon. Beast Boost is such a good ability. Bug Fighting is a very good offensive typing. And then I've given it one of my Z users. So just like you had 90 points to build a team, you had 24 points to assign between Z captains, but ranging from 2 to 4 Pokemon. So my team, it settled on 3 Pokemon. So Pheromosa was the first one, kind of like the main one, just because Pheromosa, it costed 16 out of those 24 points. So obviously my other 2 Z captains will only be 8 points in total, but you know, it's such a good Pokemon with Z moves. Like, just being able to just get off that Z, like, you know, with stabs, you know, Bug Buzz, High Jump Kick, Focus Blast. But his coverage move is just really good as well. Like, you know, things like Drill Run, Ice Beam, Outrage, Poison Jab. Just so many good moves. Bounce. I actually ran a... I'm not going to spoil how my week 1 game went, but I ran a Flying Z Pheromosa my week 1 game. That was cool. So, just a great hard-hitting Pokemon with a great ability and stats to abuse the Z move powers. Essentially what this pick is. So those are, you were allowed up to 3 Ubers. I only got 2 on this team just because, you know, I don't know, Reshiram, Pheromosa, that's Fire Dragon, Bug Fighting, those are 4 very good like offensive typings between the 2 of them. They will hit very hard. You know, one being the slower and bulkier, and the other being the fast and frail. So I really like those 2 Pokemon as Ubers. I think they'll put in a lot of work. So that was those 2. So my first non-Uber pick was the Ferrothorn. Just here to set hazards and stuff. So Stealth Rock, Spikes, Gyro Ball, Power Whip. Just some of the, I just kind of picked some of like the main Ferrothorn moves you'll see, but it's, you know, it's just a good annoying Pokemon essentially is what this is. Just being able to whittle things down with the seeds or the hazards, or even Power Whip still hits kind of hard. You know, it's like 94 attack. I mean, it's not the best, but for a defensive Pokemon, that's pretty good, I think. So that's my Ferrothorn pick. It's just a slow, annoying. It also gets, I believe, Thunder Wave as well. So just some really cool, like, utility annoying type Pokemon. So I'm happy to use Ferrothorn on this team. I think it's gonna be really cool as like a Steel type and a Grass type as well. So that's my Pokemon, or that's my Ferrothorn. You know, we got my 2 hard hitters. So here was kind of my annoying utilities Pokemon. And speaking of those, I also have, this is a free agent pick. Originally, I drafted Conkeldurr kind of in a rush, but then I blanked out and forgot that Pheromosa was already a fighting type. So I knew from the beginning that I was going to trade Conk, but I actually wound up trading like 3 more Pokemon, which are in kind of the later rounds. So I'll get to those later. But anyway, Alolan Ninetales is here. It's just, for starters, it just looks so pretty. I love Alolan Ninetales. But the main thing that this offers is the Aurora Veil. You know, that's such a good move for just my team in general. Just like look at all these offensive mons like Reshiram, Pheromosa. Primarina, Linoon especially, all really just appreciate this in Aurora Vale, because this isn't the overall. I guess overall, like, this is more of a bulk, or not. This is not a bulkier team. It's more of a more offensive team. Whereas Alolan Ninetales will be used as like maybe a lead, or maybe bringing it in on a free switch to set the screens and things like that. So just a really cool Pokemon. I love Alolan Ninetales. It can also hit pretty hard. Like 81 special attack isn't the best, but it has things like Calm Mind and Nasty Plot. And then Blizzard 100% accurate is just a really hard hitting stat move for any Pokemon. So that's my Alolan Ninetales pick. And then my other fairy type here was the Primarina. Basically, this is a Pokemon I've just been wanting to try out just because it hits so freaking hard. Base 126 special attack is really, really good. No way around that. It's super especially bulky as well. Physical stats they're not the best, but that's okay, because it's mainly here for just clicking special water and fairy type moves, as well as some really cool coverage options. Things like Energy Ball and Ice Beam and Psychic. I think it's Shadow Ball too. Yeah, just has a really good move pool with some cool like tech moves as well, like Perish Song if I'm worried about getting swept by something that I know Premier can like live a hit and then just force it out. That could be cool. Like I said, it doesn't have great attack, but if I need to like break something fast that has a sash, Aqua Jet could serve that purpose. But this is also my second Z move user. So this was a C tier Pokemon. So this was 6 points. So this is just another Z move user, just because it hits so freaking hard. Like, obviously some battles, I might want the specs, but if I don't really want to get choice locked into a move 1 week, I could just bring like kind of like a one-time like nuke to just absolutely destroy something. It's with Z moves, it's gonna hit incredibly hard. Sorry, my cursor was messing up right there, but just with things like Hydro Pump and Moonblast, those are amazing stab like Z moves. I can use the Primarium Z, since we're on Showdown for this league. I don't have to worry about like getting copyrighted or anything. But Liquid Voice also could be something that I try. Obviously, like if I get in Torrent range and like click a water move, like that'll just be an insane move. So I really like Torrent in that regard. But Liquid Voice could be kind of cool to have like a water type Hyper Beam, or not Hyper Beam, Hyper Voice that would bypass subs, things like that. So I think that is merit as well. But that's my Primarina. I'm very excited to use both these fairy types actually. I've never used Primarina in competitive before, but I love Alolan Ninetales. Veil offense is just, in the right matchup, it can just be very hard to stop. So that's that. And next we have Drum Break, Belly Drum Linoon here to just sweep people. Like, let's be real. There's not very many things that Linoon does other than click Belly Drum, eat the berry, click Extreme Speed, and just sweep. I'm not revealing any confidential draft plans right here or anything. We all know what Linoon does. You'll see it on a roster, and you'll be like, okay, how do I make sure Linoon doesn't sweep? And then I'll be on the other end just being like, okay, like I gotta chip this down, and then I gotta make sure to whittle this down, toxic that Pokemon, just so that Linoon can just come in and sweep. So that's my goal with this Pokemon. I have just a lot of good chances to set it up, I think, on this team. Just with the new addition of Aurora Vale, I'm really excited to try using Linoon. But in addition to, obviously E-Speed is the main move, you'll see that it has solid coverage moves as well, like Gunk Shot, Play Rough, Shadow Claw for Ghosts, Stomping Tantrum for Steals. Why does it get Thunder Wave and Thunderbolt? That doesn't make any sense. But seed bomb for maybe like a Donphan or like a Hippo or some bulky ground type. So anyway, that's Linoon, and it's just a really cool, more of like a lower tier Pokemon that can still like sweep entire teams if they're not prepared. So I really like this pick. It was only 4 points, and I thought it was just a really good value for the amount of damage it can do and the amount of prep it can force, even if I don't bring it that week. So that's Linoon. I'm very excited to try it out. So that's kind of my upper picks right here. Down here is where most of these Pokemon are actually new. So first we have Celebi, which was originally Uxie. The double grass type might seem a little redundant with Ferrothorn, but in my opinion, it's interesting just because they both have very unique secondary typing in terms of Psychic and Steel. So like, I'm not going to be using both Ferrothorn and Celebi as a grass type 1 week, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Like, one time, I could be using, like, a specially defensive Ferrothorn as, like, my Fairy Resist. Then I could have Celebi out Giga Draining stuff or things like that. So, it's kind of an additional just pick. I almost picked up Crest for instead of Celebi, but the reason I went with Celebi instead was because I needed more Stealth Rockers. Just because, as you can see right here, if I had gotten Cresselia instead of Celebi, my only Stealth Rockers would have been Gligar and Ferrothorn. So, I think I've won I've won a championship like only bringing Stealth Rocks on like a Donphan and a Heatran, just because those are two very good Stealth Rockers. But if the option's available, I think 3 is kind of a more ideal number in my opinion. So anyway, so that's what's going on with Celebi right here. It's just a good kind of utility based type setup thing. I don't know. Also, compared to Crest, there's a couple other things Celebi has going for it. If I wanted to bring Crest and Hail, my Moonlight or whatever the move is called would be weakened, but Celebi can just recover. So Celebi, I think, is a very good grass type to have on a weather team that's not Sun. Just because I've actually used Celebi on a sand team before with the same idea, just being that it doesn't have to rely on Synthesis; it can recover instead. So that's really cool. It can also do some pretty good. It has a lot more coverage moves than you would think in terms of just stuff like Dazzling Gleam. Earth Power is really cool. What else? Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, U-Turn, just Ancient Power. So it has some really cool moves going for it. And then also, just one final point as far as why I picked this over Crest was, even though I already had another grass type, was also just the idea of, I just think Celebi as a whole will just fit this team's playstyle a lot more. Whereas, Cresselia is infamous for just being a fat Pokemon that doesn't die, and you can just bring a max physically defensive, max HP Calm Mind Crest every week, and then still get a 6-0 win in the right if your opponent plays those 4 or 5 turns wrong. So I'm not trying to stall people out or anything. This is an offensive based team. As you can see, I have Pheromosa, I have Reshiram, I have Linoon, I have, as you can see, a Mega Absol. This is more of a take a hit, recover if needed, set Stealth Rocks, and then U-turn out type Pokemon. So I like Celebi really good as a pivot. And then does it get? It does get Healing Wish. So if what am I trying to say here? With that awesome Healing Wish move, it will fully heal the replacement Pokemon coming in after Celebi faints. So that can give me the opportunity to play essentially play something like my Reshiram maybe a bit more recklessly in an early game, and stay in on stuff that might not always be the best for Reshiram to stay in on, just because I would have Celebi in the back that could Healing Wish it back up. So that's a really cool asset to my team. Obviously Uxie, the initial Pokemon, had Memento. Healing Wish is sort of similar. So I don't know. I like Celebi. I think it'll be a good addition to this team. So with that, we have my little Gligar here. My hazard removal also isn't the absolute best. Like, I have a bit of a hazard weakness, but I think I have enough as far as to kind of scrape by, in my opinion, just because this is such a heavy offense team. I'm gonna be sacking stuff, setting up with stuff. So, but this does give me the reliable defog option. I think Gligar is one of the, especially in the lower tiers, I think it might actually be the best low tier defogger, just in terms of being able to take a hit, even an ice move with that Eviolite, be not weak to rocks, just neutral to rocks, and then just reliably get that defog off. So I like Gligar in that regard. It's another rock setter. It can knock things off. It can U-turn out. Unfortunately, its attack isn't very good, even though it has some cool moves. Like, you can see here, like, the Aqua Tail and, like, the Dark Pulse and, like, it has some really cool, like, offensive moves, but, it's whatever. But, it's 75 attack. Like, if I need to Earthquake something, make this my electric response, that'll still do good damage, So yeah, that's my Scorp. Just a cool little guy right there. So the next here we have my Mega Absol. I'm not quite sold on the nickname yet. I think Hairflip is a kind of funny nickname, but anyway. This gives me just the ever valuable base 115 speed tier. And it's between Mega Absol and Mega Sharpedo. I was actually typing in I'm about to get Mega Sharpedo like in the little transaction chat earlier today, but then I was like, wait a minute. If I dropped Uxie as well, like, the amount of like value of points and stuff could get me just a much better psychic type, essentially. So I was able to get Celebi instead of like a Mesprit or something like kind of lower tier, which is why that's part of the reason why I wanted Mega Absol. Then I also realized that I'm adding a Roar Veil anyway, like with that extra Veil up, now it'll take a cough instead of a sneeze to kill this Pokemon, so that's pretty cool. But I also like the magic balance going into just, again, mentioning how my hazard removal isn't, it's okay. I have Rapid Spin Pheromosa, I have Defog Gligar, and then Defog Rotom. But I now have Magic Bounce as well in the mix, so that's just one option that, like, if I can, like, Mega Evolve it early game, then force something out, then I can just have it in the back to just kind of deter rocks from going up. So yeah, it's just some. That's just all the utility Mega Absol is providing. Like, I haven't even mentioned how, like, this is a base 150 attack, 115 special attack, 115 speed Pokemon that can, Swords Dance and then knock off and then stab, Sucker Punch. Like, those two stab moves are just gonna do so much damage. It just has a lot of really cool moves. Like, get stuff like Ice Beam and Flamethrower and Fire Blast. I did not know we got Mega Horn. That is really cool. Psycho Cut, Shadow Claw, Stone Edge, Superpower. Zen Headbutt. It just has some really cool like coverage moves as well on this Pokemon. So I'm excited to try Mega Absol. I think it's super frail, but I think it fits this more aggressive playstyle that this team is going to wind up having better. And especially my Mega Tyranitar, like, when I had like a 51 point speed gap or whatever, the last thing I needed was like a base 70 like speed tier Mega. So this, I think, will fit the team a lot better in that regard. And then next here we have the Rotom Frost. Rotom Frost is I love Rotom Frost. Just straight up. This is the Pokemon that won me the 493 title. Just at the very end of the game when I was able to just Volt Switch on a Mega Aerodactyl and then Hidden Power Ground a Scarf Magnezone. Rotom Frost, it's so good. I think I love Scarf Rotom Frost, but that's not going to be the only set I bring. Even though like the other league, like 95% of the time I brought Scarf Rotom Frost, that won't always be the case anymore because this is my final Z move user. So that means that I can click like a Sub-Zero Slammer Blizzard and just nuke something. I think that'll be really powerful. It just has some cool stuff. With the new edition of Alola Ninetales, 100% accurate Blizzards potentially for 5 turns, so that's really cool. But it's just a really cool, just low tier electric type. As a low tier mon, I really like it. But yeah, that is Rotom Frost. He's back. And speaking of returning team members from the other league, I also have Masquerain here, which is the Pokemon that 493 league I did not use very well until playoffs, when I was able to just click webs, switch out, click rocks with Donphan, switch back in with Masquerain, intimidated Charizard X that was caught in webs, and then just proceed to sweep. So that's what Masquerain here is for. Just the idea of being able to prep for basically just looking at my opponent's shoes, having to prep for both webs and Aurora Veil with all the offense that I have. That's just really scary in my opinion. So I think it offers a lot of like value for my team at a very low cost. So if we go back up to comparing the two rosters as far as what I lost and what I gained from these transactions, I lost technically I lost 3 Stealth Rockers and Uxie, Mega Tyranitar, and Sandslash, but I probably wouldn't have brought rocks on Mega T-Tar anyway. So really I lost 2 Stealth Rockers, and then I gained another rocker in Celebi, and then Sticky Webs and Masquerain. So I think that's, I don't know, I'd rather have 3 rocks plus webs than 4 rocks with no webs, in my opinion. So I think this was an overall a very beneficial trade. My speed tiers they're still not the absolute greatest, but they are certainly much better, having 90, 151, 20, lol, 109, 60, 100, but 100, 85, 115, 86, and then 80 with the potential for webs. So that helps, Obviously, like, I think it would have been nice if I had something in maybe the 130 range, but I don't know, the fact that I've had teams where the fastest Pokemon is base 115. That's been solid. So the fact that I have a Pheromosa above that is really cool. It'll just force things to be scarfed. And Pheromosa itself isn't a bad scarf mon, even though it's so blindingly fast, but it hits hard and can beast boost. So they've got to watch out for that as well. And then the idea of webs will just make this team really threatening. It's like Reshiram plus webs, Mega Absol plus webs. Even Linoom with Veil and webs is scary. Even Primarina, I can run a more speedy Primarina designed to outspeed stuff after webs. So, and then there's always a little Glitter Dance option as well, just in a certain matchup that I'll try to bring a couple times. So, but yeah, guys, that is the end of my little team recap right here. It's an interesting team. I think it wasn't the best at first, just with my horde speed tiers, but this new roster I really like, and I'm very excited for this season. It's gonna be great. I play my week 2 game probably I think tomorrow, and then hopefully tomorrow or sometime this weekend I'll upload maybe week 1 then week 2, or maybe I'll do a double upload. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I have for this quick little video. I hope you guys are excited for this season. Thank you all for watching. Thanks again to I was about to not mention the logo for those of y'all that haven't seen my latest video. I got a real logo commissioned by Dallas 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 boy from GBA fan Discord. Shout out to him. But yeah, that is the end of this little recap video right here. I'm very excited for this league. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I know there's like 3 or 4 coaches in this league that are actually uploading. So I know Jimmy, Cam, I think another guy Hats might be uploading as well. But so I might try to make a playlist of UBF videos. That could be cool. But anyways, that's all I have for now. I'm not gonna ramble anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will be back sometime, hopefully very soon, with my week 1 game and potentially week 2 game. So thank you all for watching, and bye.